Throughout history, there have been dozens of mysteries that have never received an answer to this very day. You have some of the most famous examples being the location of Alexander the Great's tomb, the true identity of Jack the Ripper, and even questioning if King Arthur himself was real. Today, however, I will be answering a far greater question on the minds of every Halo fan on the planet. Can Paramount actually fix the Halo television show? I know. It's an unbelievably tough question to answer because, look, I made a nearly 50-minute video talking about how awful the first season of the show was just a few months ago. It would be easy for me to just dismiss Paramount as well as the writing team and just say they have no chance in hell. But I want to be fair because we're going to be entering 2023 in a few days, which I would imagine we will be receiving some new information about the upcoming season from the studio. So the purpose of today's video will be taking a look at the most prominent issues with the show, and I will be offering ideas, suggestions, or whatever you want to call them. Just know I'm actually coming from a place of good faith here. The most important thing above everything else in my mind that needs to be fixed is the titular hero of the show. Master Cheeks is awful. There is no way to sugarcoat the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Everything we saw him do in the first season of the show was the complete opposite of what people were expecting from the legendary Master Chief himself. That does beg the question, what would the writers need to do in order to salvage his character if they truly wish to succeed? While there is no way to undo the small flashbacks we saw of his time in the Spartan program, the only way is to show how Master Cheeks went from being a scared little boy who didn't want to be in the Spartan program to showing how quickly he took to the training and showcasing his leadership ability he's renowned for. Yes, that would basically mean ripping off the fall of Reach. The opposite of this is proceeding like nothing about his past needs to be changed, which I think a lot of people would disagree with. On one hand, there is no taking back the reluctance shown by Master Cheeks in his early days. What can be done is at the very minimum mitigate the damage done and try to show how he became the unofficial leader and model of the Spartan program. It's not a perfect solution, but it is a solution that might be able to repair some of the damage done. Another key thing I would recommend them to do is use the fact that he died to reboot him, so to speak. Have him realize his emotions nearly got him killed and hindered his missions. In a way, I don't think there's any way to bring back Master Cheeks and have him continue to act the way he did in the first season. There's no way to justify his behavior after basically dying at the end of the first season. It could lead to him being far more stoic and reserved, realizing he needs to be a better leader for those under his command, like Silver Team. The last thing I will say is this much. His relationship with Cortana, specifically on his end, needs a big change. I can see a path with the story currently constructed to where Master Cheeks eventually comes to care for the AI on a similar level to the games. Yes, I actually said those words. Maybe some of you will disagree, and I can understand that perfectly. These are a few solutions I came up with that could lead to the showrunners turning Master Cheeks into Master Chief. Somehow. It's not perfect, but it can work within the confines of the show's current story. I have one thing to say. Drop Quan's side of the story because no one actually cares. None of us do. The writers should be using every second of the screen time to focus on the UNSC and Covenant. Literally, an entire episode towards the end of the first season was purely about Quan. That episode could have gone towards, literally, anything else. I don't care what it is, just find something. A brief glimpse into the Human Covenant War somewhere else in the galaxy. Even hinting at the location of the planet being close to Reach or something. As for Soren, I don't care for him either. This brings me to the whole hidden destiny crap the writers tried shoving down our throats for the character of Quan. Newsflash, no one wanted to watch it. Seriously, it felt pointless in the grand scheme of things, especially given how Quan's episode could literally be skipped and you don't miss a single beat of the story. So I imagine they simply did it to save some budget with cheaper actors and less CGI. The easiest solution I can offer is to ignore Quan's existence until the very end of the show. You could have her appear on Halo and be taken over by some of the Flood. Soren can go back to his family on the rubble and live his life in peace before the Covenant come knocking on his door. They could leave him surviving as a tease or whatever, but I don't care. I really don't want to talk about the disaster that's called the family dynamic between Catherine, Jacob, and Miranda. I really don't want to, but I'm going to anyway. First, I need these people to drop the pretentious shit with Catherine Halsey. She could be an asshole. She could give people the cold shoulder. I don't care about those parts. Those scenes of her, however, betraying some of the closest people to her in Miranda and Jacob was a big mistake for the writers. It's tough to find a solution where the writers can work with the first season's version of the character and shift her in a direction that's closer to being resembling the games. The best I can come up with is for the writers to have Catherine ponder on her actions during the second season and all throughout it so she can come to the ultimate conclusion of, I fucked up. It's not much because they really turned her character into something difficult to redeem. The best shot they have is for Catherine to come back, be a prisoner for the UNSC, and work alongside her daughter. Like I said, she doesn't have a ton to work with, and that makes it really difficult to salvage what little bit of her remains. One thing I'd definitely do if I was a new writer on the production is try to have Catherine change her opinion about the Spartans, especially Master Cheeks, and show how she supports whatever decision John makes moving forward, like she does in the video games. I said it in my Halo video. Catherine has no respect for Master Cheeks and questions every decision he makes without any hesitation, to the point where Cortana, originally supposed to be battlefield support in the games and in the original timeline, was changed to take over the body of a Spartan. Yeah, do you realize how dumb this sounds? The other thing that needs to be talked about is Catherine's daughter. I already brought up my issues with a character like Miranda being transformed into a scientist when she was originally a ship captain. What they can do is during the invasion by the Covenant is have Miranda take over the role of a captain aboard a nearby frigate during the battle when they're trying to escape or something, and realize she's got some aptitude for it, and she realizes she can do more, not being a scientist, not being behind lab doors, but on the front lines, commanding a ship and doing something that, directly being involved. Not much of a solution, but it's something. As for the relationship between mother and daughter, it's tough. Because in the games, Miranda dies and we never really get to see them interact in any capacity. In my mind, I think their best chance is to simply have them away from each other and probably never really interact outside of maybe messages, little moments of communication, but that's it. You can have Catherine come to realize how she's a terrible parent, but that's about it. Their relationship was never really much of a focus in the games. Miranda, however, was a critical character in Halo 2 and 3. Catherine was not exactly all that relevant until 343 showed up. The same can be said for Jacob, as he does die in the very first Halo game. So this family, while certainly different from the games, will in the end face the same outcome. Miranda and Jacob will die, Catherine will live on, unfortunately. Now, the question is, will Jacob still die due to being absorbed by the flood, and will Miranda still die on the Citadel? We have no clue. Now, all of this is predicated on the writers getting a third season because some of the things I mentioned are way down the road. And the other thing is I can picture this season mostly being focused on the invasion of Reach. And it does lead to a rather controversial or hypocritical stance I'm about to take. Okay, I know I don't trust these writers to utilize a character like the Arbiter. However, I do recognize it would be a good chance to show a different perspective on the invasion of Reach. You could just show how brutal of a military commander he was during his time with the Covenant, which would tie in with the prophets talking about how he was their most effective instrument in the war against humanity. But there is the whole situation around Maki's presence within the Covenant. I think it would be a good opportunity to reveal how the Arbiter and others question why Maki was allowed to be spared. It could further add to the eventual journey the Arbiter goes on after allowing the Master Chief to destroy Halo. As much as I don't like this idea, I think using Maki is something both characters could agree on, that it's possible for their factions to be at peace with each other. Like I said, I'm trying to fit my ideas into the world created by the writers while simultaneously bringing some aspects of the game and even the novels to the show in order to help it. If I can use Maki, a useless character, and turn her into something worthwhile post-death, I don't think it would upset people too much. I still have a few gripes with the idea I came up with, but it's better than ignoring her presence altogether. Why? Because at the end of the day, there is no way to pretend Maki wouldn't have led to the Covenant splintering regardless. It's just that simple. Now, the last thing on my mind is a rather simple request. If they do the invasion of Reach, it needs to be a brutal battle showing off why exactly humanity is losing the war. There is a reason why humanity has been on the losing side for nearly 30 years in the original timeline. The show has to do the same if they want to retain the fans they do have. Hell, you could follow the events almost word for word that led to the Master Chief being on the Pillar of Autumn, leading to the discovery of Halo. If they really wanted to pump up the nostalgia, you can make references to the various cities and a few of the operations that involve Noble Team, from the early days of the invasion to the operation leading to the destruction of the Covenant supercarrier, Long Night of Solace. Hell, you could even have Jacob directly reference Noble 6 and his decision to remain on the planet following the retrieval of Cortana and the data from the Forerunner artifact. Any of this can work with their story. Ultimately, the question on the mind of everyone is, can the studio save the show? The reality is, more often than not, we see shows unable to climb out of the hole they dig themselves into. Are there shows which they're able to be the exception to such a thing? Of course, but I have my doubts about whether Paramount and their writers can pull a miracle here with the mess they created. There's so much writing against them, and most of it can be considered self-inflicted wounds. Master Cheeks, Catherine Halsey, the Covenant, it has a lot of problems that need to be sorted out. Do I think they took the feedback from the audience after the first season? Once more, I have to express my doubt, because how often do these studios come out and say they'll try to follow the source material more closely moving forward? A recent example was the Rings of Power by Amazon. I may not be a super big fan of Lord of the Rings or anything, but it didn't do well given some of the comments made in the time following the show's release and the backlash on social media. Look, it would be incredibly easy to write off the show and have no faith. I'll be honest about my raw opinion. I don't believe these writers can save the disaster they've got on their hands. But I wanted to take a bit of time to just think about what can be done to salvage the show. How can the show be turned into something resembling Halo outside of just some ships, uniforms, and names? That is the point of today's video. A little writing exercise, so to speak, going into a few of the more glaring problems with the show and creating any solution that might be preferable to whatever they might be thinking currently in the writing room over in Paramount. Anyway, this is just one man's thoughts about a show that could have been such a great opportunity to bring Halo to life on the television screen. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this. Enjoy the rest of the holidays, and we'll be seeing you guys in 2023. See ya.